Okay, so with everything going on, and because it's interesting, in this video, we're going to explore the states which get sick the most often. And along the way, we're going to learn a lot about us, explore some weird facts, and just figure it out if we can. So grab your Z-Pack, and no, I won't write you a doctor's note, as we try to figure out which states are the sickest. Okay, glad you're still with us and not in the hospital yet. To explore our sick levels, we need to look at a variety of factors, like which states visit the hospitals the most, who has bad diets, and maybe even random things that might be making people sick, like bugs.
Oh, bugs.
There's a lot of research out on the places in America that have the most bug and rodent infestations. You can see here that if you live in Philadelphia, Boston, New York, DC, or Milwaukee, there's a decent chance that you have pests in your home, as in rats. Look at Philadelphia. Nearly 1 in 5 households reported rat infestations. New York City is 15%. Of course, in New York, people complain about having sewer rats in their teeny apartments. In New York City, you might expect to pay about $3,100 for a tiny little apartment downtown. But with that, you might get a pet rat or mini that your super won't really care about. Anyways, there's a few other cities on here which need some pest control. You can see that at the top are larger cities in the Northeast, places with older infrastructure with sewer and subway systems where bugs and rodents can reproduce. Gross. But when it comes to bugs, holy cockroaches. In New Orleans, 41% of homes have roach infestations. Now, I've been in New Orleans, and I know how danky and wet and gross that city is at times, but 4 in 10 homes has roaches? I can only imagine how that number must go up after hurricanes blow through. Hey, look at this. In Raleigh, where I used to live, nearly 1 in 5 houses has a roach infestation. I thought those were water bugs. That's what my landlord told me, anyway. But poor Memphis and New York City both rank high on both lists, rats and roaches. So if we're looking at just bugs and rodents, it's safe to say that the larger metro areas with an aging infrastructure might be the first place to start when you're looking at places where people might get sick. But let's dig deeper, shall we? What about poo? Does that make people sick? Like poo everywhere? Let's search. Cities with the most shit on streets. Okay, it looks like San Francisco is at the top of the list, and there's really no other city on here. No other cities are even mentioned. Speaking of this gross topic, if you haven't been paying attention, I'll let you know there's been a toilet paper shortage in America. Like, not a shortage of being able to make toilet paper, but people have been hoarding it. Besides the whole hoarding problem, people are home a lot more during the quarantine, so they're using it a lot more at home. There's been such a demand for TP here in the US that Canada is complaining that we're wiping out their forests, literally and figuratively. Like, apparently we use 3 rolls a week of toilet paper each? Who does that? I might use 1 roll a week tops. Who's using 3 rolls of toilet paper every week? Raise your hand, people.
George Whipple, you old sidewinder.
Tex, can you help me stop those ladies from squeezing Charmin bathroom tissue?
Reckon I can. Now, you women folk, stop squeezing that Charmin.
But Charmin's so soft, irresistible, has deep down squeezable softness.
It smells good, too.
Please, don't squeeze the Charmin.
Anyways, they're now having to make TP out of Canada's virgin boreal forests, which are of higher quality than toilet paper, which is made from recycled material, apparently. TP experts are begging for alternatives like recycled wood, wheat straw, or bamboo, which sounds like it might hurt. Forests are too vital to flush away, said a leading Canadian tree expert. Sorry, Canada. Okay, that was really childish. But are we using the most toilet paper? Well, there's a chart for that. I think there's a chart for everything, actually. The average American uses 141 rolls of toilet paper every single year. What the? Germany, Britain, Japan, Australia, and other European or Europoopin countries use a lot of toilet paper as well. Anyways, the toilet paper shortage here is so bad that restaurants like these in Delaware are selling toilet paper as a way to make extra money. Good for you, Delaware. We actually never talk about Delaware on this channel. I wonder if people in Delaware get sick.
Hi.
I'm in Delaware.
Time for today's news break. I'm Skip Fritzman. In some parts of Delaware, the state is only 9 miles wide. Only tiny Rhode Island is smaller than Delaware is.
Thanks, Skip, but what does that have to do with being sick? Let's see, what is Delaware good at? Well, Delaware was the first state in the nation. Okay, that's cool, but that doesn't help. Delaware beaches have the cleanest water of all states. Okay, there we go. That's interesting. So Delawareans probably don't get sick while swimming. And Delaware has the fastest internet in the country. Why do they need fast internet in Delaware? Here's a list of the states with the fastest internet. Okay, Delaware's not first. Now, what's good internet best for besides gaming and Netflix? Ordering food. Here's a map that shows which parts of New York have which types of cuisine. Looks like a lot of restaurants in New York are Chinese and Asian restaurants. That makes sense. Manhattan apparently has like no ethnic restaurants at all. I wonder if the quality of food and if foodborne illnesses are a reason people are getting sick. Maybe we can see. Apparently 48 million people, or 1 in 6 of us, get sick from food every year. Apparently most of us get sick from eggs, meat, fruits, and nuts. Really? And from leafy vegetables, of course, like salads that have listeria and E. coli, yuck. And sadly, eating in restaurants doubles your chances of getting sick from food. That's too bad. But we want to know which states get sick from food the most. Well, it looks like New York has the most foodborne illnesses every year, followed by Washington, Illinois, Florida, and California. In New York, the culprits are norovirus, salmonella, and scombroid poisoning, which is from eating spoiled fish. And I guess it looks like this. Did Heathcliff get scromboid poisoning? Because he was always eating fish out of trash cans.
Heathcliff, no one should terrify their neighborhood.
Incidentally, South Dakota, Vermont, and Mississippi have the least number of foodborne illnesses per capita. Good for you, Mississippi.
Hey, look who's working at Burger King. My former magician. His tricks never worked. Magician, make me a Whopper.
Make you a Whopper. Okay. You're a Whopper.
No, I mean, give me a Whopper.
And of course, fast food can make people sick. I mean, eating too much of it can lead to a lot of problems. The states with the most fast food places per capita are Alabama, Nebraska, West Virginia, Oklahoma, and Tennessee. You can see on this map how many fast food restaurants there are per 10,000 people. So it's basically a large part of the middle of the country, which makes sense because people on the coast tend to lead healthier lifestyles as a whole, I guess. Here, we can see which fast food restaurants are the most popular in each state. It's a lot of Chick-fil-A on the eastern half of the country. What's Z in Hawaii, you ask? That's Zippy's. Hawaii's #1 gathering spot for classic local favorites, tasty specialty foods, and friendly welcoming service. Bring your appetite home to get Zippy's. And no, that was not a paid promotion. But for the rest of the country, besides Chick-fil-A, it's a bunch of McDonald's and some In-N-Out on the West Coast. And if you've never had In-N-Out before, you are missing out big time. And finally, this map shows us which restaurants are the most iconic in each state.
Did you know that 1 in 3 Americans orders fast food every day?
I did not know that, Mappy. That's a lot. Do you eat fast food a lot?
Yeah, my favorite's Del Taco.
Mine too, Mappy. I didn't know you were a Del Taco fan. Here's a classic Del Burrito for being such a swell guy. You learn something new every day about that guy. Good old Mappy. So we know which states have insect infestations and which states have food poisoning and which ones have the worst diets. But what about exercise? Because people who don't exercise are surely going to be unhealthy, right? Well, yes. And we can measure that too. In fact, that's really easy. And look at the Deep South. Dang, there's a whole big area here where close to 1 in 3 people report no physical activity. 0. Like, doesn't chasing down a possum or running down to Chick-fil-A count as some sort of exercise? Part of that's due to 2 major reasons. The South has by far the most obese residents of any other part of the country, and diabetes, heart disease, and strokes are leading killers here. But Black Americans, which make up a large part of the South, have very sedentary lifestyles. 30% of all African Americans are inactive. Only the Hispanic population, at 31%, exercises less. One study said the weather might limit how much people work out, claiming that southern states are hotter and more humid, so people can't work out as much. But I disagree. If you look at the map, the states where people work out the most are in the coldest places, supposedly, which get a ton of snow and where the weather is the worst. So I don't know if I buy into the whole we don't work out because it's hot thing. So no excuses, southern states. But what about hospitals? I mean, do they build hospitals as a need, or are there more hospitals because they want their residents to remain healthy? South Dakota, a state we talked about before, has the most hospital beds per capita in America, followed by North Dakota, and then a few other states we talked about, like Mississippi, West Virginia, Louisiana. But there are so many hospitals in Mississippi, some of them are at risk for closing down. It's like they're competing for patients. That's the theme for General Hospital, a very popular soap opera from the 80s, but people don't watch soap operas as much anymore. I was able to find this chart, which is teeny tiny. The blue line is soap opera ratings since they first began. They're just not cool anymore, I suppose. But enough with the soap opera talk. We're talking about 6 states. So if we're going to measure the states where people get sick the most, we should probably look at pollution levels, right? Now, I did an entire video on just the most polluted states, so I can leverage that for a frame of reference, but the most polluted states take into account water and air contamination, and believe it or don't, Indiana is the state with the most pollution. Other states with high levels of pollution are Louisiana because of the oil industry, Pennsylvania because of the fossil fuels, Illinois, which has the 5th worst groundwater in the country, and West Virginia because of the coal industry and related subsidies. Now, there are all kinds of other different ways to measure how unhealthy states are. Some look at the number of people who are currently fighting an infection, like the flu, or other sicknesses like the big one we experienced in the spring of 2020, which pretty much shut down the entire country. Other studies will measure which states are chronically ill to make longer-term projections. But the study I found that was the coolest was this one, which looked at actual tweets coming from different locations. Anybody who tweeted, "I'm sick," or fever or flu or sick, was counted over a number of weeks. It's very much short-term, but interesting nonetheless. Ohio, Texas, Nevada, Louisiana, and Michigan were the states with the most sick-related tweets. And New Orleans, Miami, Atlanta, Lubbock, Texas, and Buffalo ranked as the highest on the city level. Of course, when you try to make sense of Twitter data, often you're going to see some random stuff, like people in Ohio complaining about sports. And apparently the sickest day of the week is Tuesday. Fancy graphic. Do you guys like the fancy graphics, by the way? Okay, so let's come full circle here. Taking into account everything we learned, from bugs to rodents and bad food to pollution and fast food and exercise and even tweets, which of our states are the sickest? These are. Okay, so that's it. The states with these sickest environments, lifestyles, and actual people who get sick. This was based on so many factors. The sad part is many are able to be brought under control, meaning lifestyle choices can change. But the sadder part is many of the factors making people sick can't be controlled, which means we're victims of our own environments. So if you live in a sick state, perhaps you should change your ways. Or if you're being sickened by something you can't control, maybe it's time to move. These states might be a reasonable destination. Where does everyone get sick the most? Sick the most. Sick the most. I don't think I feel well. I don't know if you can tell, but my temperature is 103. The doctor said I'm gonna die, but maybe he's not really right. Maybe it's a parasite. Someone help me. I'm so sick, and I'm so sick of being sick. Someone kill me. Being sick sure is no fun, and now this video is now done. Hey guys, if you learned something new or you just like this video, make sure to like it. And if you really like this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get all of our videos about what it's like to live in different places in America. Peace.